All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would sit down and do a current events in the online fitness community, and I feel that it is a current event. And it's mainly because I see so much of this on Facebook and Instagram right now. And I want to be clear. Let me state up front. There's going to be people who get pissed who love Mentzer. I don't disagree with everything Mentzer said. Mentzer did have some good takes earlier in his work before he slid off the deep end in that last 5 years or so when he was all writing stuff, had quit, was completely working out himself, had addiction problems, all this other stuff. When he got really crazy, his philosophies changed a lot. They changed a lot at that point. And the problem is his kookiest stuff. Like, he started in a pretty decent place, to be fair, considering the lack of technology to measure stuff and people doing the best they could with observation. Like, you can't look at his early work and be like, oh, he didn't know what he was talking about just because some of it's been debunked in a lab, because they didn't have that equipment. He was an intelligent guy, right? He was a thinker, he was a philosopher, and he observed a lot of stuff. He made observations and drew logical conclusions based upon the data that he had at the time. So I'm not saying Mentzer was not in certain ways ahead of his time, because he was. And I think we need to give credit for that when we're going to be critical. Okay. But keeping in mind, he didn't have all the equipment to measure certain stuff. And he got really kooky near the end. And his really kooky stuff is what's being put up everywhere. And I see it almost daily on both Facebook and Instagram and Reels and stuff. And it's stuff like the one I screenshotted there today of him explaining why doing a second set is counterproductive. Okay, that's the sort of stuff we're talking about. That's nonsense. By the way, click like when you get in here for daddy, guys. Come on. Ezekiel, click like for daddy. All right, so here's what's up. We're seeing stuff like that we're doing a second set is overtraining, is counterproductive. Keep in mind, when he got near the end, he was basically telling guys stuff like, oh, you can be in the gym for 20 minutes 2 or 3 times a week and win the Mr. Olympia. Okay, that's getting ludicrous. Or doing more than one set of any exercise is completely counterproductive. That's been debunked in the lab and the real world. Keep in mind, nothing that he promoted near the end looked anything like what he was promoting when he was on the Olympia stage. Okay, nothing he promoted in those latter years that we're talking about with the crazy stuff looked like what he did when he was winning bodybuilding shows and placing in the Mr. Olympia and was massive and jacked. So we need a context for that. You can't step back and go, well, he did place second at the Olympia, except that he didn't train like that. What he did back then was moderate volume, heavy weights, progressive overload. Okay, this is evidence-based. Yeah, we look at that and say, yeah, that works. Progressive overload. He focused on full ranges of motion with good form. Okay. I mean, realistically, that he was a little bit ahead of his time. By putting forward and postulating those sort of ideas, he was ahead of his time. You got to give credit for that. Because can you really fault that? You can't fault that logic based on what we know today about the body. Progressive overload. Getting stronger even on your rep work, your 8 rep maxes or whatever, getting stronger on them. Right? Yeah, because he was training 4 days a week when he was placing in the Olympia. He trained less than the other guys. So that was true. But he was still doing like 9, 10 sets of body part, 11, 12 sometimes. He was in that range. He was doing less than the other guys. But he focused on progressive overload. Right? He focused on progressive overload, good form, full ranges of motion. Yeah, I mean, you could look at that and say that was good. But this nonsense of one set, telling guys, oh, we can go 10 days between body parts, one set every 10. Like, this is where he went near the end, and this is still what's being popularized as his philosophies. It was well known he had addiction problems at that point. He didn't live much longer past that. He had stopped training, had dealt with a lot of issues. He was going through some stuff, and that's when he got to that point of, oh yeah, one set every 10 days per a muscle group. And you can see 100% of possible results. And there's no benefit to going beyond that. I mean, it's down to where you're not even training. right? And this is what he started promoting. So it's ridiculous. So that's what's being popularized still. And it's just ludicrous, right? And we know from every study that's ever done, a second set produces more growth than the first, and a third produces more growth than the first. Every single study has consistently found that in every category of lifters around the world. Novices, trained lifters, everybody. One set always causes more growth than two, or two always causes more than one, and three always causes more than two. Now, after that, it can get a little more nuanced, but that's, again, the ludicrousness of it. Yep. But he was strong, but he still focused on getting some of the other stuff right. All right, guys, we got a whole lot of you in here commenting. Let's get those likes up. Hit that like button for Daddy. Get some people in here, because the faster you guys hit like, the more people get this in their feed to where they see it pop up. So let's get this rolling. Give Daddy a few more likes. There we go. Appreciate it. Ezekiel, glad I'm keeping you company along for the bus ride. Faculty thinks you can only go to the gym 3 times a week and become Mr. Olympia. Shows you how delusional he got. And he was delusional near the end. He didn't start there. To be fair, in his early days, he was very much a thinker. Like, I would say he was definitely above average intelligence. He was a smart guy. But like many intelligent people, they go down their own crazy road when substances get involved and, substance abuse happens. Jason, you think it's fair a woman to leave her man if you lose a fight in front of her? I think a man who's getting in fights in front of his woman is fair game to leave, whether he wins or loses or not. Why is he getting in fights in front of her? Dude, that's some loser stuff. If she's a decent woman, she'll drop him. Good woman will get rid of you for that. With his logic, I can become the next Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Prime. Hello, Coach. What's up, dude? Are you going to cover syringes, ghosts, ridicule of gym bros? No, I don't really care, to be fair. Link it to me, though. I don't know what you're talking about. Link it to me on social media. He was on gear, so I long singles out natties. I mean, that doesn't always single them out, because plenty of enhanced people successfully coach natty champions, right? Because they're not always basing their coaching off of their personal experience. They're basing it upon people they've coached. I met Ray Mentzer in the 80s in a seminar in Brignoli's gym in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Absolutely massive. Yeah, they were both big dudes. How long will it take someone who is complete novice to reach an intermediate numbers bench press? There's no set number. If I'm going to look at it, man, I used to have ideas on that. The longer I've done this, the longer I've coached, the more I've realized there's no way to predict that at all. If you pay attention, Mike Mentzer makes a brief appearance in Pumping Iron. Did he? I didn't catch that. What do you think of Doug Brignoli? I don't really think about him that much. I vaguely know who he is. I don't remember his philosophies. Hey guys, get those likes up for Daddy. We need to get these views. Let's get this view count flowing. Come on now. Coaches, blood rush to the head like it's going to explode. A concern with max squatting? No. What's going on with your breathing? What's going on with your blood pressure? Do you get compliments every day on your physique when you leave the house? No, not every day. I get them, but it's not every day. I get them online every day. I get a dozen of them online every day. But no, it's not every time I leave the house. It's maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. How much of what Frenchie says is true, if you could guess? 5%? Maybe. The guy literally made up lie after lie after lie after lie about me while accusing me of being the liar. Well, if you're making up crazy lies and then saying the truth is a lie, then of course you can make someone sound like a liar. But he just made it up as he went. What made you change your opinion on that? On what? On thinking that we could predict something and realizing the more data I gathered, the more I realized it's unpredictable. The fact that it's completely unpredictable is what made me change my mind. The fact that I saw people reach those numbers in 6 months, and I saw people spend 6 years trying and still never got to them. So do you see the problem with the question? That's the extremes I've seen. I have seen people do it in 6 months, and I've seen people spend 6 years and still be 50 pounds short of all of them. Hold breath on squat for tightness. Yep, until you get to the top. Thoughts on 5-3-1, boring but big for average Joe. The problem is it's a lot of jump volume on big barbell lifts. Fell for the Mentzer HIIT program for a while and got zero gains. The only size I peered through was from inflammation and water. Yep. And keep in mind that later Mentzer stuff is not the same thing that like Dorian did. It's not. They're not even comparable. 6 months doing what? Running novice programming. Intermediate. He's asking how long for people to reach those intermediate numbers I discussed. Like a 2-plate bench, a 3-plate squat, 4-plate deadlift for a novice lifter. What would you rate Jeff Nipple's glute development after seeing his glute exercise rankings? I didn't see his glute exercise rankings. I've never really looked at Jeff's glutes, to be honest. I'm going to say probably a deep squat is probably the number one glute exercise. Although lots of stuff contributes. Ezekiel, because he's scared to deal with me now that I'm clapping back, it's not good for him. Arthur Jones sold a lot of snake oil, but the machines are excellent. I'm not a big fan of them. They're okay. Funny thing is, it did take me 6 years to get to a 2-plate bench, so exactly intermediate. Sorry, water went down the wrong pipe. I'm going to cough for a second. It's going to make all my veins pop out. There we go. That's a good thing, right? Suggestions for loose skin in women: fasting, keep protein high, keep losing body fat, do cardio. Growth hormone will help a little. He gave squats a D here. Then he doesn't read studies. If Jeff Nippard gave squats a D tier for glute development, then he can't claim that he reads scientific studies on hypertrophy. So he doesn't believe in the research, is what he's saying. Those people that you know that's been 6 years trying to reach those numbers, that they have proper diet and nutrition? I mean, sometimes. I would argue there were problems with their training, but you're still asking how long does it take people? Is training 3 times a week enough, though, due to busy schedule? Yeah, I have some clients whose vlogs we only have 3-day training and they get good, decent gains. Is training 3 times a week enough, though, due to a busy schedule? Coach, well, it's going to sound dumb, but why does DH grow everything except your dick? Okay. Who told you it grows everything? SD, what do you mean? On a moderate dose of growth hormone, you're not going to see anything get bigger. You're going to lose a little fat. Your skin's going to get to tighten up a little. SD, on how much growth hormone? How much growth hormone do you think it becomes any of that becomes a concern? Or you start seeing the stuff at the forehead or the jaw? You do realize that's ultra high doses. And quite frankly, the side effects you will get for 6 months before that happens are going to be pretty intense at that point. Like you're going to have to be willing to put up with some pain and suffering to get those side effects. Right? You're well into deep side effect doses and a pretty hefty bill before those things happen. Well, quit listening to ass clowns talk about drugs. Just saying, dude. Yeah, you're talking, when you start seeing some of that stuff, you're talking in that 16 to 18 unit a day range. Now, to understand what that's like before the current modern era, where all these high-grade generics got kicked out in the last few years, you go back 10 years. So you go back 10 years ago. What do you think the cost would cost you per month to do that? And you're going to need to do it like 6 months to a year to see any of those side effects you're talking about, like a year maybe, before any of them even start. Ballpark how much you think that costs. I'm going to estimate it right now. I know what the going rate was back then. So 18 units a day. So you're going to get 4 days out of a kit at $500 a kit, $125 a day, times 365, $45,000 a year. Okay. So to get those side effects 10, 15 years ago would have averaged you $45,000 per year at street prices. So let's get down here. It gets to a point where your loose skin will not snap back all the way. And now surgery is not the only route. You can keep getting leaner. It'll tighten up more. Alex said you can do max effort pull-ups immediately after bench. What do you think about that? You can. I think it's a little bit risky, but I don't disagree with him. No, I don't disagree with Alex on that. That's one where I'm going to listen to what Alex said. And I'm like, if you're pursuing max effort pull-ups, that's not unreasonable. No, it's not unreasonable though. How come I'm able to lift more when I'm drunk? I don't know. You shouldn't be getting drunk on me. Really quite clueless for the matter, just going off things I've seen, heard. Okay, fair enough. Hey, Jason, thoughts on GVS's arm growth? That guy is breaking the natty limit. He's not natty. Okay. You can literally see where he injects his gear. You can see his sight shots on camera. So are you saying he uses synthol and not gear? Because you can see where he pins it. His lateral delts are very, very clearly being injected. I would bet $1 million on that. I'm sure of it beyond any shadow of a doubt. So you're saying he's shooting oil in his shoulders instead of steroids? So does that still count as a fake natty if you're using site enhancement? Your opinion on Eric Bugenhagen's training philosophy? I've always been favorable towards the Bugs training. I heard 125 a day, realized I'm never going to have this problem. Anthony says, hey, Jason, what's up, Anthony? Anthony's one of my OnlyFans followers. Anthony, feel free to chime in on any comments you want down there on that. Because a lot of my haters do not follow and they try to make claims about what's on there. Can get amphetamine prescribed to me legally. Would you recommend this? I don't recommend pre-workouts at all, no. You ever had a pork roast before? Yes, obviously. I prefer beef. I'm not a massive pork fan. Rich Piana said his GH abuse made his feet, hands, and head. It may have, but Rich also used the IGF-1, RL3. Keep that in mind for context. Yeah, Rich did use a lot of growth, but he also used things that are more likely to cause that than growth. So was it the growth or was it all the IGF-1 variants? Did you not look at his death cycle? By the way, I made more money on that video than probably anything else on this channel short of the Ice Cream Fitness 5x5. Right? I called it his death cycle and then he died 6 months later. Did you not read his death cycle? Andrew Tate uses safety clips. Here's everything you need to know about Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate literally made a serious non-ironic Twitter claiming that any man who kisses women is gay. That's everything you need to know about that clown. Anthony says, Jason, just cock slap the haters with your massive thing. Pretty much. Right. Oh, that's cool. Jack used to have amphetamines in the ingredients. Yep, and they banned it. But I'm not a proponent of pre-workouts. And what happened when they studied Jack in a lab in a controlled study? Did it help people get any gains? And it was so strong that it was outlawed. And it still didn't give anybody any gains in studies. No positive results at the end of the study. Zero. And yet it had addictive opiates in it. What does this tell you about pre-workouts? All right, guys, we got 11 likes. Get those likes up for Daddy. Come on now. Come on, get those likes up. During high bar squats, is heel elevated squat a solution to knee valgus, weight going into anterior ball of feet? Not always. Heel elevated, meaning I hope you're wearing a shoe, not standing on plates. Come on now, get those likes up for daddy. Hit that like button. There we go. Thank you. No, they still need to resolve some of their glute stuff, and you need to determine is the knee valgus due to weakness or are they using it as a technique cue? Can most people lift more on the low bar squat versus high bar? Most people, yeah. Who would you say is the least natty at this point? GH, strap on, Milo Wolf. GVS uses the highest doses out of any of them. How many hours do you work per week? What all do we count as work? Do we count anything related to monetization in any way? So if I post something on a monetized platform that makes 10 cents, are we counting that as work? And since all of my training is monetized on multiple platforms, does all my training count as work? So all my client work, all my videos, anything I do, OnlyFans, probably 80 hours a week, 60 to 80 hours, anywhere between. Do you track cows? Yes, loosely. What do you think about making these centric twice the length of concentric? The data says there's no benefit to doing this. What do you think is responsible for the emergence of noble natty gym cell culture, the internet, little tiny yurt? No one ever gave crap about that stuff before. The whole natty being such a big deal is a modern phenomenon in the lifting world. Really, like almost nobody was anti-gear or cared about it 20 years ago. They just didn't care. You just knew most guys were going to be on gear and you either chose to use it or not. That was that simple. Best pre-workout is coffee. I have pretty much. Now keep your crown on here. It's big. Let no ho tell you otherwise. Yeah, you're easily in the top 5 to 8% in the U.S. according to statistics. Jack, vodka, Red Bulls were lit. Oh, God, people did stuff like that too. Does having a wide clavicles really make that big of a difference? It's just social media hype. I mean, it'll matter in terms of how wide you look. I get the teal personally. GVS resides in communist China, right? What's up with that? I like pork roast once a week every Sunday. Soon it'll be another roast as it's Friday. Working, doing what? What do you mean, Dom? How much time per week does it take to edit all your videos? I don't even know. I just run with all of it. I'm always working on multiple projects while I'm doing other stuff. All right. Like I'll be sitting here rendering a video or working on something, waiting on someone to get it, practice my guitar, do some stuff, and then hop back around. So I'm just always touching around through all of it, all the social media, messaging clients, messaging friends, so on, just as I go. Who has a physique that any natty can obtain? I don't know. Music, you're trying to ask me, I mean, technically music, I never said manual labor. I said skilled labor. My haters said manual labor. So what are you talking about? Compared to my happiness now, way more, dude. Man, I don't go into 120-degree rooms wearing Nomex for 12 hours. Right? I'm shocked the CCP isn't monitoring his YouTube content like they do with their monopoly all over private enterprises. I know, right? You grind for the money as hard as anyone online for legacy. Don't know why you get it, because there was a hate campaign started in a cult of true believers over some other stuff. Speaking of which, how are the forearms doing today, guys? Let's rate the forearms on a 1 to 10 in terms of vascularity, hardness, striations, thickness, and just in general looking like a horse cock. 1 to 10, where are they at today? All right. Did you ever hit 3 plates on the weighted chin up? I'm not sure. I know I've hit, I don't know if I did. Now that I think about it, I think I came up just short. I've done 110, I know for a fact on camera. I'm about 135. Janoi, I am sober for over 6 years. Now you don't drink anymore. Where do you go to pick up girls? What do you mean? You just talk to them. Meet girls through other girls. Meet girls through girls you already know. And all my chick friends know that I don't drink, and they respect that fact. All right. Even though they have been drunk with me many times, some of them. All right. 9.5 out of 10. I'll take that. Forearms on point. Always wonder what is actually better, machine incline press or barbell? Barbell. Have you been doing that rice bucket challenge? No, I do all of my pulling without straps. That is the secret to my forearms, guys. I do not have good forearm genetics. I did not always have big forearms. This is what happens when you throw away your straps and you do tons and tons of pulling, deadlifting rows, pull-ups, chin-ups, pulls without straps, and do a little bit of hammer curls and hammer position stuff. This is the result. Straps are the number one killer of forearm gains. That's why clowns like natural hypertrophy don't have forearms and has to do silly stuff like I do the rice bucket challenge like my hero Naruto. And then pretends to have a wife that's make-believe, that's not even real. Blue blood stallion cock forearms. Oh, I'm asking because I was able to pursue a more physically intensive job to able to increase my ability to go to the gym, my overall happiness in general. Oh, you might. Yeah. You might. Do you have an axle bar? I have one. I sometimes recommend it. Yeah, I own one. I used to use it a lot on camera. Does it bother you when your chick friends come on to you and they are drunk and you're not? No. Don't you debunk the forearm strap myth, though? What do you mean? He doesn't have forearms and he uses straps. How did he debunk it exactly? Or did you mean he proved that the forearm strap thing is true, that straps will keep your forearm small? Yeah, he proves it. He's a textbook example. He says his wife is the one recording his workout. So who is really behind the camera? What do you mean? You just set up a tripod, guys. For home gym, should I buy a Swiss bar or a cambered bar? I'd go with a cambered bar personally. Why are you wearing so much clothing, Daddy? No, I don't do that on here. Sorry, dude. Requests like that are for OnlyFans and they are not free. Anthony, tell him how it works. Anthony, I got to head out. Just wanted to let everyone know that Jason has a horse. Anthony is on my OnlyFans. Do you think NH gets more girls or Alpha Destiny? Personally, I think Alpha Destiny. Janoi. I don't think either one of them have ever had a girlfriend in their life, so neither one. You like the axle bar for forearm gains? Yeah, although keep in mind, I don't feel the axle bar through any of this, through any of the flexors. It's purely extensors. That's where I personally feel it, right? So it's all up here. Alpha Destin's pickup artist face. Well, you already know any guy who's pretending to be a pickup artist is a clown. Dude, that's nonsense. The whole pickup artist thing is nonsense. It's a scam. Does putting fat grips on a regular bar the same as an axle bar? Is it identical in every way? No. But is it close enough for government work? Yes. If you use an axle for deadlifts, both. Hey, Marshall, it sounds like you need to follow my OnlyFans. Joseph says, why are you doing OnlyFans, coach? For the money. Stack more paper, make more money. Do you got a problem with making more money? Do you like making money? See, because it's extra income and I don't have any moral objection to doing it. I have zero problem with it. So why not? What's your problem? Well, that sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. All right. If you use an axle for deadlift, both hands, knuckle forward. Generally, no, I do mixed grip on deadlifts with it too sometimes. I've done over 400. Is axle bar a good variation for Letra Day flat? What do you mean Letra Day? I think for max effort, it works just fine, yeah. I've done maxes on the axle bar during different conjugate phases. I've done it on floor presses and bench press. No, Mike, you don't necessarily have stress. And how's it G for P? It's pictures, dude. G for P means you are having sex with other men for money. Are you not familiar with this term? Why you only just started? I should have done it a year ago. I agree. I should have done it a year ago. All right. Do you plan on getting married again? By plan, do you mean, do I have a woman in mind? Because you don't just say, hey, I'm going to get married and you haven't met the wife in question. So no, but would I potentially get married again if I was dating the right woman and things worked out in that way? Yeah. If men, not necessarily. I still don't think so. No, because you're not doing stuff with gay dudes like in person. I mean, maybe if you're doing really gay stuff, putting stuff in your butt for other men, okay, I think we're probably getting there at that point. You know. But if they're asking you to flex and they're paying you to do it, which they do, by the way, no. No, I don't put stuff in my butt. Not my gig, man. It's not my thing. Mixed grip does not derive benefits from the fed bar. Yes, it does. You're not going to be able to lift as much weight with the axle bar, even mixed grip. Right. Hey, coach, what's the body part that gets the most compliments from women in public these days? What do you think about upper back? Upper back looks good in a shirt. $20 is $20, daddy. Well, I'm not going to bend over for the boys. There are limits to what I do. Here's the thing. All of my followers on there are very respectful of the fact that I'm straight. Anthony, all the other ones who post in here, they actually are very, how do I put it? They're very respectful of the fact that I'm straight, but I happen to be doing this content. So I've noticed that. I have noticed that in general with the actual fans pretty consistently. So it's kind of interesting. Thank you on that. Man, I've got compliments on multiple things out in public. I've got compliments on my calves, believe it or not. Right? I've got arm compliments, chest compliments, or just jacked in general. As far as the calves go, I was literally walking by this UPS driver, and she was actually cute. It was a black girl, and she was cute, and she's like, "I like your calves. You work out." It's funny. She's like, "I like your calves." You know, as long as you have socks on. What are we talking about? Watch a video of real axle deadlifts with knuckles forward super hard. Yeah, I've done those. I've done them with over 300 pounds for rep work on camera. All right. Mike Mentzer may have been off on a few things. He was, yeah, but I mean, we're talking about the later stuff. He was completely off the hinges. Coach, have you requested on your OnlyFans to go furry for 10K? Would you try it? For 10K? Yeah. Coach, have your female friends offered to be in your OnlyFans? No, but there's some funny stories with some of that. I'm not going to go into personal stuff, but there's been some funny stuff. I told one of them she owes me $25 because she saw some of the content that another one was working on. She saw it for free, so she owes me. What? Don't look at me like that. How does someone go about meeting women when they don't know anybody at all? I don't know. You need to go meet some people. Now you're getting out of my league. How did you make it through life? Were you homeschooled? Is it true that Mike and his brother were? That was always the rumor. That was always the supposed story. And it's pretty common in the lifting world. It's common among bodybuilders, right? Well, Marshall, you should go join the regular and see what's actually there. And then you can actually send messages instead of just chatting in here because you're probably just a troll. right? If you're actually serious about checking it out, then go check it out and find out what content I actually do and what's already available. Because you don't know what I actually sell on pay-per-view till you get in there. So Jason stuff, even if it's paid request on to know what does juror mean? I don't know that term. I mean, I have nude videos. I do muscle worship stuff. That's all commission. People pay for it. I literally, the last one I put up pay-per-view went out to all of my fans where I'm literally swinging my cock around helicopter in it and doing the little back and forth, making the clap sound. Getting paid for that. Yes, I have enough to do that. All right. Do you get better results with women in your current leaner physique? It didn't matter. Coach, is it high test to be mostly attracted to black girls? No, I don't know. Why are you asking weird stuff like that? Come on. We don't stand here talking about people's race and all that in here, man. We don't need that. Could you do? No. Jim said, well, go meet some people, dude. Go get some other hobbies, some interest, and meet a circle of friends. There's your solution. Right. Anybody recently made a video saying that flat bench is dangerous for most men. It's just him projecting due to his dangerous form. I agree. It's projection. It's not dangerous. It's dangerous if you do it incorrectly. You have overuse problems and you use bad form. Then it's dangerous. Then it's dangerous. Get those likes up. Come on, hit that like button for that. There haven't been any likes in the past 5-10 minutes. Been sitting at 14 a little while. Hit that like button. Come on now. Click a like for daddy. Do I not have the volume turned up? That's right. Ring that bell. There we go. There's a like. Psychologists say most of what humans say is projection. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely true. Most people's insults of other people are projection. Not always. Not always. Yeah, I'm not doing any butt stuff on OnlyFans. Not my gig, guys. I know that, again, perfect example of projection. This is haters projecting their stuff in videos. It's not actually based on reality. And I'm not saying I don't have kinks. That's just not one of them. Jason, how heavy should a 300 pounds bencher go on dips? I don't know. Quit looking for crossovers on those things. Right? Quit looking for a crossover and just find out how strong you are. Because they're not really, truly comparable lifts in terms of leverages. I end up going out and meeting people that end up all being drug addicts, everything. Well, then quit hanging out with drug addicts. I ring my own bell on your training footage. Okay, Marshall, you could be ringing it on my OnlyFans. All right. Have you gotten laid this week? That's I'm not going to say. That's nobody's business. I do not know. That's what Music Saint Light said. See, Joe, I have a policy. A gentleman doesn't kiss and tell. You know, as you go for 110 pounds on weighted dips for 8 reps, that's pretty solid. Depending on your body weight, it's not bad. Alpha Destiny always suggests exercises he says made him bigger, like diamond push-ups. How do you use? Yeah, I'm not playing with diamond push-ups, bros. Come on. Listen to Mike Mentzer. Not this fat guy with an only Diaz. Let me read it out in your voice. I'm gonna imitate Diaz, Victor Diaz here. Listen to Mike Mentzer. Not this fat guy with an OnlyFans. You can go jerk off to a dead meth addict. Pow, get your ass out of here. How do you not know what a jeter? Yeah, I actually don't know. CM says Lamal. Joseph says law. Francis just drops a bunch of laughs. Do you like Alice in Chains? Random, I know. I'm not a massive Alice in Chains fans, but I do like some of their stuff. Like They Come to Snuff the Rooster. That's kind of a classic. The Crypt Keeper. Well, he's passed already, man. Coach, as far as exercises, do you think you can crush them? Oh, gosh. Favorite movie? I'm going to go with The Big Lebowski. I just had to name one without even thinking about it. Right? Do you agree with Ken Booty? Just weighted chin-ups and no rows? No. Rows for your back. I'm gonna quote my boy Chris Jones. Rows for your back, gets those hose in the sack, gives you that V taper that makes the hose want to rape you. I think you should do pull-ups. I think you should do all of it. I think you should do some pullovers, deadlifts. Doug is not currently a client. No. Doug's got his own little coaching business going. Between that and his OnlyFans, he's actually doing pretty good. Do you still think it's worth it to buy a conjugate book by Simmons? Yes, absolutely. Get them while you still can. They may be out of print one day. Get that book of methods. Right? Get it while they're still in existence. Coach, what are some good conversation starters to women in public? Just start talking. Doesn't matter anything, pick something, just talk to them. Right? Stop overthinking it. Just talk to them. I enjoyed Doug. I have 2 former clients who have an OnlyFans. I have a former chick client who has an OnlyFans. She was chatting with me about it today. I enjoyed Doug's training. You would post. He was one of the most yoked people you trained. His progress always noticeable. Appreciate it, man. And he did. Like his vlogs are good. Doug put in the work. The man doing OnlyFans. Well, do you compliment women when you approach? Not necessarily. It depends. Like if I'm trying to flirt, yeah, I'll compliment them. Hey, Janoy. Man, you need to, if you're telling me you can't meet girls or talk to girls and you still watch anime, get rid of the stuff that's interfering like that. How accurate are the strength standards on sites like Strength Level for weight categories? Are probably accurate. Yeah, see, we just discussed that. I guess I need to make a video addressing that, don't we, as a current events. Why you never compete in strongman. It's the injury risk. It's a cool sport. I just don't want to get all beat up doing all that. Not that I don't think it's a cool sport. It's a cool sport. Too much randomness. I just don't feel like doing it. Anime is we used to call it was called Japimation when I was a kid. It was actually the real term. That's not a slang term. That was the official, like what it was called, like on TV, like Speed Racer. And then it kind of turned into its own little niche of nerddoms by a bunch, mostly loser dudes who don't get pussy who watch it. Can nobody beat his body up in his 20s from ego lifting and bad form? Yep. I've thought about doing OnlyFans, but I don't want my family. I don't care. My family sees my posts about it right there on Facebook. I got a dozen family members who follow my pages. They know. Why do you care? Why do you care, man? You need to put your family in their place. If they don't like what you do, they can eat a bag of dicks. Either they love you or your family or not. If you're family, they have to love you. And if they don't, then that's just too bad. I don't know what that means. We need it. Yorkies, could you put that into common English? I'm going to have to actually, because you keep asking me a word I don't know. So it means make rude and mocking remarks, typically in a loud voice. Yeah, I'll do mocking, degrading content. Like if a dude needs me to degrade them for money, I'll totally do that. I'll offer to do that. So yeah. Alan says, damn girl, you looking hella good. Let me holler at you real quick. Works well on approaching women. Maybe it might. The main thing is you're talking to them. Pancake. Tell ladies and women if she likes you, she'll be interested. Maybe. I don't know about that, Pancake. Pancake, let's check your channel out. Testosterone. Your shirt says testosterone on it. All right, you might actually get pussy, homie. All right. If they smell the test on you, you're not in a bad situation. Can't believe Keno used to bench 350 at 190. Can you collab with Keno Body? I don't know. I Googled it. That is what it means. So you're asking me a question, bro. So now you're trolling me. You're asking me a question. You refuse to put it into standard English. So I Google the term and that's what comes up. So in English, that is what you're asking me. So if it means something else, if you think it means something different, then you need to say what it actually means so that I can answer your question. Otherwise, I'm about to get rid of you because you're clearly a troll. If you can't simply type the word in plain English when I have to go Google it and it still comes back and you say the Google is wrong, well, then you need to put it into normal English, homie. All right, Jason, if you progress one single set over time, it's going to be very bad growth. And it's eventually going to stop, yeah. Thoughts on Frenchie's video saying deloads are not necessary. Why does it need to be Frenchie? No, I don't do submissive content on OnlyFans. That's not my thing, dude. All of my followers are on the other end, actually. Every single one of my followers on there, the fans, are on the other extreme. So no. And I don't even come across that way. Anyone who's pretending that I come across submissive or not dominant or whatever sexually is clearly a stalker, troll, hater. Just saying. It's not my bag. So what does Frenchie have to do with that? Doesn't everybody really say deloads? I say deloads are not necessary. Now, I don't have thoughts on his goofy ass video because I don't watch his goofy ass videos. But let's take this statement. Let's take Frenchie out of it and take this statement. I don't deload. Man, I document my training. I don't deload. So what do you think my position? Hey, coach, have you gone on a date and ran into an extra girl you slept with in the past? Yes. I've actually, you just deal. What do you mean? I've walked into a party with a current new girlfriend, and there were at least 3 women in the room who I had slept with, and she knew that I had slept with one or more of them. I'm not even going to get into what she did because it's, without naming names, it was a woman who's been on this channel before. She decided to mark her territory. You know, this stuff happens. Like, Janoi, you deal with it, dude. I actually used to like to get a little test sip and stay on my hand or wrist and do shots, probably placebo. Like, I don't know about that. That's funny, though. What do you think about the Keno Body Overhead Press 135 Max Challenge? You got 20. That's pretty good. Was there ever? No, Lyle just hates everybody, including me. I don't really dislike Lyle. Why does it take an hour to make a single point? Who, for Frenchie? I don't know. Got to go, coach. Thanks for the stream as always. Take care. Take care, man. Hey, Pancake. How about I bang Taylor Swift with a poo nanny and with more booty? How about I make the rules? So that's what I want to pick. Okay. What's a solid family music? Anything by AC/DC? You know about sarcoplasmic and stuff, and if myofibrillar growth is from overload and tension, I can't see why one set wouldn't, because you're going to get to a point where it's just not, you're not going to continue to progress. You're throwing a hypothetical, right? You're throwing out a hypothetical that's not going to happen. So do you see the problem? You're like, if it continued to progress forever, would you make gains forever? Except that it won't. If a frog had wings, would he bust his ass a hopping? I know enough about programming and research and everything else. I can tell you it's not going to work. I'm just telling you straight up, it is not going to work. So you're asking, your question is up there with what if. Okay. So again, my response would be a little Texas slang. If a frog had wings, would he bust his ass a hopping? You're like, well, it'd be like a frog doesn't have wings, Jason. Hence the problem. I have the Alec and Curie conjugate method program, having trouble following what's being shown. It could just been a cognitive issue. I'm having to throw everything straight. Well, I haven't looked at his particular conjugate program. What happened to the above the knee rack pull trim you called out? People got some sense and realized it was moronic. You should have told everyone you reported Frenchie to the authorities, got him deported, right? People thought I did. It was funny. No, Genoa, man, come on, dude. Do you mind me asking how the F do you meet a girl from the UK and end up moving over there? These things happen, man. It just happens, homie. Sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit. Is whatever grip gives you wrist stacking over the elbow the correct grip? Yeah, should be. What happened to client Saeed? Does he still train? Yeah, as far as I know, he trains. He's very supportive on my Facebook, Roland. Since you're over on Facebook, I know that. He's very supportive in my Facebook posts. He just doesn't have the budget. My coaching gets expensive eventually. But as far as I know, he still trains. Hey, Luke, I'm just telling you right now, it's not going to work. I mean, you can go try it and report back, but you're going to waste a bunch of your time. I'm just telling you, you're going to realize you wasted a whole lot of time. I am telling you it's not going to work. And you can argue all you want that you think it will work. And I will say more power to you. But a year from now, you're going to be pissed that you wasted that time. I'm friends with Craig Elias, huge bodybuilder, where he may not be alive. He's not going to be alive much longer. Do you consider handstand push-ups a good shoulder exercise? Not really. Hey, Pancake, I ban people for mentioning people like that with no followings who make videos about me. Why are you advertising? Pancake, you need to pay me now for advertising in my stream for him. I need money. Give me a super. All right, thank you, because I was about to ban you. Like, no one gives a shit about that crazy old man with no following. He didn't get free advertising. I'm going to get his channel deleted here because I already have enough stuff to get him terminated again in my copyright thing. I just not gotten around to doing it because he's too stupid to not. Hey, Joseph. All right. Bye. But no, I'm going to get rid of him again. He's too stupid to not keep copyright infringing me. He's just too dumb. He's too mentally handicapped to not do it. The Frenchie impression is up there with Eric Chernevsky. You mean, hey, everybody, it is natural hypertrophy with my outrageous French accent. I got his old channel terminated, and he got through a conniption fit. He was very upset. And the funny thing is, he had to have multiple strikes already for me to do it because I only struck one video, and it was like one of 30. I didn't even single him out. I just went and said, there's 30 people who have videos up about me that the tool says I can take down. So I pressed the button on it. It took 30 seconds to send out 30 copyright strikes. All right, tiered YouTubers, we get a free tool for that, and it does it for us all automatically. It finds the videos and everything. You don't have to put any of the URLs in. It just finds them. You click a checkbox. So I'll show you guys what I mean. Hold up. See if we can So I'll just take a snapshot and just show you guys real quick. Right. So people thought I was making that up. I don't know why they thought I was making it up. See, I just took a picture of the tool right there on my screen. See, it says channel copyright. All those are videos. A bunch of those are Genetic Beast, actually. So that's our copyright tool. So all tier YouTubers have this. Everyone with the check mark and the plaque, we have this tool. All right. Hey, Pancake, I don't feel like giving a 10-minute explanation again over the entire backstory of how it happened and how a whole hate campaign was funded by Salvation that turned into a true believer cult. They spent like $100,000 on it. It was pretty much admitted to. Coach, I think you'd be surprised how many young hot chicks are into anime. There's less than you think. Doesn't mean that they want to hang out with dudes who watch anime, though. Louis Simmons, was Louis Simmons a healthy man when he passed? How did these guys like Louis Mount Dog drop one heart attack and they're not even that old? More drugs. Like, no, Louis ate a bad diet, though, to be fair. Louis admitted, like, he made it to 75, right? So Louis saw decades all the way into his 70s. He admitted it. So you got to ask the difference. He's just using less drugs. Barbecue Louie was not healthy, a genius, but not, yeah, he ate donuts every day. Pull the trigger. I always meet these people, and then I know where they go find people online and go do that, either a different state or another side of the country, even different country. What? I don't really understand what you wrote. It's not really anime. It's more the culture around anime that most fans engage with. Coach, you remind me of that one character from 300. All right, Janoi, which one? Do you think, yeah, he'll get his channel closed again. It's not the first time. How much do you have to pay you to try anime? $200 an episode. I mean, I got someone now who will pay me $10 per 2 minutes just for FaceTime stuff, chatting with me and me flexing. So, I mean, realistically, I think $200 for a 1-hour episode is fair for me to watch it. Genetic Beast has a mental illness. He needs to be off YouTube, right? No, dude, that's not a good use of my time, man. Sorry, just not a good use of my time. I mean, even consultation calls are $100 an hour. I have one late tonight. I'm doing a call. I get $100 an hour just for consultations to help people with their lifting and gear stuff. Lots of people pay to see me flex. Welcome to having an OnlyFans when you lift. Yeah, it's not even paying to see me naked. That's with my shorts on. It's one thing to like anime, it's another to pay someone to watch anime, right? Well, he must really, that's his fetish. It's all good, man. So that's your kink. So I guess I could charge the same, dude, $10 per 2 minutes of the episode. So it's a 30-minute episode. What is that? 15 times $150. And I think that's fair. I mean, that's kind of what my rate is for that sort of thing. You probably need to sign up for my OnlyFans, though. And then request it as your kink. Yeah, of course I could do math fast in my head. That was really easy math. It's not like you asked me to take a derivative here. Coach, if you started dating a girl and it's time to Netflix and chill and she really wants to watch this anime movie, of course I'm going to watch it. Of course we're going to watch the anime. We're going to get through about that second Believe It in Naruto before I'm balls deep in them sugar walls. In your strength standards, how many weighted pull-ups is decent? What is that? That's my silver play award. It comes with the blue check mark. Have you ever tested your IQ? I know literally what my Stanford Binet is, but when I say what it is, people freak out and accuse me of lying. So I don't ever mention it anymore. It's not worth it. Did you get the plaque 3D printed? No. They mail it to you, Matthias. But proof that it's real. When you get the check mark, they send you the plaque. That's how it works. Hey, Jason, my neck gets very sore when I go down on a woman. What are some exercises to do? Some neck extensions. Do them neck extensions. Man, I get that crick in my neck sometimes too from that. So you got to change the angle around. You don't always have to stay down there with on a pillow, right? Get a pillow, slide it under, lift the booty up, put her on the pillow. You can lay her on her side. There's other stuff you can do, homie. You don't have to stay in that one spot. I'm not going to go into when I took a Stanford Binet. How long do you think an adult male can go without sex without having mental side effects? Probably about 3 months. I said about 3 months, you're going to start having psychological issues as a result. She forced me in that position. Well, sometimes you don't have to adjust some stuff. You have to be like, my neck is starting to hurt. I need to move you. Put you up on this pillow. You're strong, dude. You lift, just pick up and move her. All right. We're past the hour, though. We're past the hour. So I think it is time to wind this down. No, I think that there are depressed people with mental illness as a result. All right. But time to wind this down. Let me give you guys a Mount Cepheus before we go. Oh, Mount Cepheus. We're out.